Hey, my name's Wayne, and today I'm going to help you get your IEC visa from Australia. Let's go. So in today's video, I'm going to cover things like how to get your passport if you don't already have one, obtaining a police clearance, how to and where to get research from, submitting your name into the IRCC website and paying your fees, the first round of questions, the second round of questions, biometrics, and the final step of research after you receive a POE letter. So to begin with, if you don't already have your passport, what you can do is, or the way that I did it, was I went down to a local post office that had the passport application forms, and I took that home. I filled out all the information that was required of me, and there's a section in there where you have to get that filled out by a non-relative that has a passport. So I found a friend that I knew that had a passport. I got them to fill that out and then took that back to the post office. I think it was about $310 for me to get a 10-year passport. And then I also asked the post office if they did passport photos. They do. So that was an extra $20, I think, and they give me 6 copies of my passport photos, which I then, stuck one to the application form, handed that in, and I had 5 extra copies to take home. So once that was done, I think that took about 6 to 8 weeks to come back. It took a little while. After that, I went onto the Australian Federal Police website and I applied for my federal police clearance. I think it was Form 35 that I applied for, which is General Overseas Employment. That was accepted by the IRCC website, so surely that'll be okay for you too. I think that was about between $80 and $100 for the police clearance, and that took a couple of weeks longer than the passport did to come back. So make sure you've got plenty of time to get these things done before you drop your name into the website, and make sure, because it's very important that you have these documents ready. So once you've got your passport and your police clearance, you're ready to go ahead and sign up to the IRCC website, make an account, and then when you go to apply, it'll give you a questionnaire, and in that questionnaire it'll ask you a bunch of different questions, and it'll basically determine what kind of visa you're eligible to obtain. But in this circumstance, we're going to be selecting the IEC visa. Once you've selected the IEC visa, you go ahead and you drop your name into the pool and you wait to receive an invite to apply. When I did it, I dropped my name in the very first week that it opened, and it was maybe a week later that I received my invitation to apply. I think mine was a bit quicker because there wasn't very many people in the pool at that time, and I just sort of did it all straight away. It might take longer for you, but here's hoping it doesn't take too long. Once you receive your invitation to apply, it does not mean that you are accepted at all by any means. It just means that they're ready to start reviewing your process. So they'll ask for 4 different questions, right? The different questions that you need to answer. It's like personal information, work history, and a couple of other things. I can't remember, but they're all pretty straightforward, all just general questions trying to get a gauge on what kind of person you are and your experience and so on and so forth. just make sure that you answer those questions as honestly and accurately as you can, because any sort of hiccup in the way that you answer the questions might cause the process to take longer, as they need to clarify more and more information. So once you complete those 4 questions and you hit submit, I believe it's now time for you to pay your application fees. So I think it was like 250 Canadian dollars for the IEC application, and then it was 80 Canadian dollars for the biometrics fee. So all up, I think I paid about 350 Canadian dollars in those fees, which is about 380 Australian dollars. And once that's all submitted, you then wait a little while for them to read that information through and then ask for the second round of questions that they want you to answer. So in the second round of questions, basically more personal information. They'll want you to upload your CV or your resume. They'll want you to upload your biometrics. You can't do that just yet. We'll get to that in a second. They'll want a couple of more things. Again, I can't really remember, but honestly, it's all pretty straightforward. And if you're confused, there is question marks on these questions, right? You click that and that'll explain everything that you need to drop in. Just again, be completely honest and accurate with your information, and good luck. So once you've submitted that, I'm trying to remember whether it's before this round or during this round, you will be receiving an invite in your account to go and get your biometrics scanned. So if you live in Perth, Sydney or Melbourne, congratulations, you don't have to travel anywhere. You've got a visa application centre that's run usually by VFS Global in your city, and you can just go ahead, make an appointment, go down there and get them done. I live in Adelaide, so we don't have one here, so I had to book a flight to Melbourne to get it done. So once I received my biometrics invitation, I then called the office in Melbourne and I made an appointment for about a week after I received the invitation. I then lined up my flights so that I left in the wee hours of the morning. I got there in the morning, I went straight to the city, and I hung out in the visa application office until it was my time to do my application. So it takes about an hour. All they do is they scan your fingerprints and your face, and that is automatically uploaded to your IRCC account. You don't need to do anything else after that. They'll handle that part. Just make sure that you're at the appointment on time and everything should run smoothly. After your biometrics are submitted and all the other questions have been submitted, that should be the last step. If you're like me, they might have another form to send through to you asking for additional information. They wanted to know where I was between 2011 and 2012. I divulged that information to them, and I think it was another week after that I received my port of entry letter. Again, try not to take my rapid process to heart too much. It might take a little bit longer for you, especially if you're in a different country, as the quotas are slightly different to Australia, and it might be later in the year, different processing times, so on and so forth. But if you've received your port of entry letter, congratulations, we're going to Canada. So now is the time to talk about that other step, research. Technically, we should have been talking about this step a little bit before here, but it's okay, we'll talk about it now. So whenever I had any questions at all about this process, which was all the time, I had Googled everything, every step of the way. I was super cautious about everything I was submitting. I didn't want to mess up anything along the way. I was also a part of a bunch of different Facebook groups, and I asked questions relentlessly. There were also people in there asking other questions that I hadn't even thought of. So I completely encourage you, if you have any questions at all, just Google it. Someone somewhere in the world has had the same problem you've had, and join these Facebook groups or Twitter groups, whatever you use, and just try to grab any information you can from any way you can. It's super important that you keep yourself as knowledgeable about this process as possible throughout the whole way. Now that we have our port of entry letter, we also need to start researching flights, accommodation, where you want to go. I personally looked up, some of the dodgier areas. Every place in the world has dodgier areas. I just want to make sure that I'm not moving to one of those. Look up travel insurance. Travel insurance is a big, important thing. The working holiday IEC visa for Australia lasts for 2 years, right? But if I gain travel insurance for only 1 year, when I get to the border security officers in Canada, they're gonna ask me for my travel insurance, and if I present them with something that's going to last a year, they'll only give me a stay that's long enough for my travel insurance. Travel insurance needs to cover hospitalization, repatriation, and general medical things. I don't know, just check the IRCC website, everything is there. So in Australia, I did a bunch of calling around. There's no company in Australia that would give travel insurance for 2 years at the current time because of COVID. So there was another website I used throughout this process, another good tool that you can use too. It's a website called movingtocanada.com, and they have an application on their website called Moving to Canada Go. You create an account, log in, and it's got a giant list of steps, everything you can think of that you can mark off as you're going throughout the process. Invaluable, super good, great. Just get onto it if you can. You've got to write up about different travel insurance companies depending on which country you're from. There's a section on there about travel insurance companies you can go through if you're from Australia. They've got a company on there called Fast Cover. Unfortunately, Fast Cover isn't actually giving travel insurance to people from Australia at the moment because due to COVID. There's another company on there called Best Quote, which is based in Canada. And if you go onto their website and you ask for a quote, they have travel insurance policies for the IEC visa specifically. This, I believe, is probably the best option to go with. They've got 2-year policies on there. It's for the specific type of visa that we're doing, and they're reasonably cheap. I think it's about $1,500 for 2 years, depending on what kind of policy you go with. Obviously, it could be more, it could be less, but I think that's roughly what I'm paying. I think that's in Canadian dollars too. Once you've got your travel insurance done, you've looked up your flights, you've looked up where you're going, it might be a good idea to sort of gauge what kind of work you might want to do when you're there. Use places like Kijiji to look up accommodation. Airbnb is good if you want to go the hostel route, go for that. I'm not sure what the intricacies of that are during COVID, but I'm personally probably just going to go with a hotel for a couple of days. When you land, you need to do a COVID test, and then you need to self-isolate until you receive your test results back, which means that you're probably going to need a hotel room for a day or two, which is what I'm doing. So I hope that in this video I've given you a rough idea on how to go about the process. If you have any further questions or any worries or queries, or if you want to give me any updates on this video and what you think I might have missed, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and I hope to see you in Canada having a good time, living your best life, getting out there and exploring the world, because you only live once. You've got to get out there, you've got to see the world, you've got to find out who you are. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.